I was thinking about Barack Obama. Obviously, this guy, he is a spy for Mossad. Mossad is Israel's intelligence department. It's supposed to be like the CIA of Israel. And this week, one of my cats brought in four or five dead baby moles and laid them on the floor. And I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen a mole since I've lived here. Where did you find these baby moles? And in the world of espionage and the United States, or any government, if you look up what is a mole, it's defined as a spy. If you look up what is Mossad, it's going to show you a bunch of patches and symbols for Mossad, and then a whole bunch of books about spies and espionage and how they infiltrate these nations. I am 90% sure that September 11th, 2001, the blowing up of the World Trade Center was done by Mossad, Israeli intelligence. And the reason that George Bush used them was because he knew if he used the FBI or the military, that these people would probably speak up about it being terrorism because, the natural patriotism inside somebody. And that's why they went and found a foreigner who wasn't even an American-born citizen. They paid for him a seat in the Senate in Illinois. The very first thing he did was author a book called Memoirs of My Father, and they did that to cover up who his biological father was, because his biological father was a terrorist. He was a rebel. He was a black man who wrote articles in the paper about, his goal was to destroy the United States from the inside. And his name was Marshall Davis. So this character that works for Mossad, he was trained by a guy named Ehud, the ex-prime minister of Israel. What a coincidence. Ehud's whole name is Ehud Barak. If you've ever read the biblical story of Ehud, it's about this prophet who's left-handed. And God had to specifically choose a left-handed prophet in order to get past the king's guards. And then when he finally gets in to see the king, he's in on the toilet. And the guards leave the room. But because the prophet was left-handed, he was able to put his knife on his right side, and they didn't check, because 95% of people are right-handed. And he goes in while the king is on the toilet, and it says he thrust his sword or his knife right into his stomach, all the way into the fat, until the fat of his stomach hit the hilt of the blade, and his insides poured out. And that's interesting too, because the only other story about their insides pouring out is Judas Iscariot. When he hung himself, even after he was dead, it said that his bowels gushed forth. They blew out of his stomach. And as far as timeline of events right now, we're waiting for 2 Thessalonians 2, the lawless one, the son of perdition. And who is that? Well, there's only one character in the Bible called the son of perdition, and that was Judas Iscariot. So all of these things have a connection. I mean, Princess Diana was murdered. She was murdered in France, and it was meant to look like she was just in a car accident. And then they replace her with a woman named Camilla Bowles. You see the bowels, the stomach, And now we have a woman running for president named Camilla. And all of this is because all of these people around the world who they call themselves Jews, even though they're not Jews, they're from the synagogue of Satan. You see Hollywood celebs wearing a red thread around their wrist. And what that means is that they support Kabbalah. So look at those words: Kabbalah, Kamala, and Camilla. And yes, they're all connected because in the book of Daniel it says that the last king of the last beast on this earth, he will speak. He's a master at speaking in dark sentences. That means riddles. Like Barack Obama, his name is a dark sentence. Barack Hussein Obama. They intentionally named him after Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. And they did that to mock the American people by saying, what are the chances that you just got done spending 10 years in war searching for two people, Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. And in the middle of all that, you receive a foreign-born president. He's black, and his name is Hussein Obama. And of course, the average American citizen didn't think much about it. They just figured that maybe this guy's like Islamic or something. I've never heard those names before. But it's all about espionage. It's about corruption. And, there are many people in Hollywood who run around flashing the Jewish star as if they're Jewish when they clearly aren't. And in the book of Revelations, Jesus says that in the last days to watch out for these people. They're from the synagogue of Satan. One of the last photographs that Robin Williams posted before he was murdered, but yet they claimed it was a suicide, was him holding up a post-it note. And on that post-it note, it said SOS, Synagogue of Satan. And what position did Hillary Clinton hold when she was in the White House? SOS, Secretary of State. That was done intentionally to show their partnership with Israel. But this isn't God's Israel. These aren't godly people. This isn't Benjamin Netanyahu and Ehud Barak are not worshiping God. They're not obeying God. And they mock God all the time. Who was the other black man that was close to the Clintons who Obama signed $1 billion over to Baltimore and he stole it all? His name was Elijah. Elijah what? Cummins, spelled C-U-M. You see how they like to mock? And about that red band that all the Hollywood celebrities wear on their hand, it's red. It's a blood red, and it's made of thread. Normal yarn thread. If you've ever read the story in the Bible about Rahab, the prostitute, she was not an Israelite. She was a prostitute. But when Israel sent their people to invade a city, they met this Rahab and they let her know that they were going to destroy and capture the city. And she basically said, I'll help you. I know that your God is the real God. And what I'm going to do is put a red cord in the window and hanging out the window so that when you come back to destroy the city, you will know where I am and my family. And then Israel vowed to protect and save her and her family for helping them and believing in God. So she was a spy. And isn't it interesting that all these Hollywood celebrities who are helping to, pollute America by staying quiet about 9/11 and things like that, they all wear that red thread around their wrist. And nobody even notices. And isn't it funny that the one thing that keeps everybody stupid, and if they would have read it, they'd have figured this out, is the Bible, the Word of God. I mean, who would have ever imagined, why do you think Brad Pitt, his name is Brad Pitt, after Revelation 9/11, there was an angel of the bottomless pit. His name was Apollyon, or in Greek, his name was Abaddon, which if you spell that out, it says Abaddon. Abaddon. And he says that he's king over the locusts that live in the bottomless pit. So, this is just something that crossed my mind, that it's obvious and it's in everybody's eyes, but as a Christian, you're not supposed to be of the world. So you're not supposed to be paying attention to these Hollywood celebs or these political figures. But if by chance you did, the only not a place you could get this knowledge from to figure this out is the Bible. And of course, all these Israelite leaders, they call themselves Zionists, which means they only believe in the Old Testament. And that's cool because God made it that way. He put a spirit of deep sleep over them so that no matter how much they see, they can't perceive. No matter how much they hear, they cannot understand. And no seeing, hearing, I can't remember the other one. But the bottom line is, Jesus said, I am the stone that causes Israel to stumble. I am the stone that the builders refused. The builders were Israel. So yeah, they've basically been penetrating the United States by using spies for the past long time. And that's how they got away with 9/11. That's how they get away with Epstein Island. I mean, look at Ghislaine Maxwell. She was a spy. Her father was the owner of the Sun magazine, the tabloids. Coincidentally, his name was, he faked his death in 1990s. They said that they found his yacht, his, hundreds of thousands of dollar yacht in the ocean or the sea, Mediterranean Sea, but he wasn't there. So he faked his death. And it's just weird because Ghislaine Maxwell was the only human on this entire earth who's ever been recorded as saying she could not stand Princess Diana. And Princess Diana could not stand the tabloids. And Ghislaine's father owned the Sun magazine that wrote all the horrible stories about Princess Diana. And they were the ones that used to chase her around all the time. And when she, supposedly died in a car accident, it was those exact people who they claimed were following her that caused the accident. What a coincidence. But we don't have any leaders on this earth who care enough about people like Princess Diana to speak up. It's sick. And Harvey Weinstein was an extremely close friend to Ghislaine Maxwell and to Jeffrey Epstein. And why is the one director in Hollywood that works under Harvey Weinstein, why is his name Quentin Tarantino? Quentin. It's made up of two words, Queen, Clinton. I saw a photograph of Hillary Clinton, Harvey Weinstein, John McCain, and Colin Powell standing side by side, and they made sure to intentionally take a photograph in front of a wall filled with posters, and the poster right in the middle said Queen. So they were making it clear they were calling Hillary a queen. And This is how these people speak in signs and symbols. This is what QAnon was talking about, but ironically, Mike Pence and the United States military were the ones, they used them to destroy QAnon because Donald Trump was scared shitless. It was putting all this attention on him that he was going to take out all these people. Same people he worked for or worked with, or they worked for him. And, so they destroyed it all. But the things they said, though, many of them were true. And I don't know. But my cat brought home 5 moles dead this week. So, has to do with Mossad, Israeli intelligence. And then look up Ehud Barak, who's the ex-prime minister of Israel. He's now the leader of the intelligence. He's super close friends with Hillary Clinton. He had many, many connections to Epstein Island. And that's where Obama gets his name from. Why would he get his name from the head of a Mossad spy group in Israel?